Almost 17 years after 9/11, former Florida Senator Bob Graham is continuing his relentless pursuit for answers about the mysterious Saudi family living in Sarasota and their connection to the 9/11 hijackers. Today, Senator Graham went to Miami federal court to appeal the release of the FBI files in the investigation. Senator Graham joins us from Miami by Skype. And Senator, what exactly happened today?
Alan, today the 11th Circuit, which is second only to the Supreme Court in the federal judicial system, held a hearing in Miami on the question, was the FBI making available to the public the information which the people deserve about the role of Saudi Arabia and in Sarasota, the three hijackers in 9/11?
What exactly do you want to know from these documents?
What we want to know is what is the information that the FBI has. We think that the statements that the FBI has made publicly are not truthful. The FBI has said that they have conducted a full investigation. We believe there are some obvious gaps in the investigation that has been conducted. Second, they say that the result of their complete investigation is no connection between the Saudi hijackers and the family that lived in Sarasota. On the other hand, there are other pieces of evidence which have thus far been largely withheld, which say that there were many connections between the hijackers and the family. And finally, the FBI states that it had made this information available to the 9/11 Commission and to Congress. In fact, it provided it to neither. So we think there are major withholding of information and false information, and hopefully the federal court will order that the truth be made known.
Now, you were the chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee on and after 9/11. This material, this information about what was happening in Sarasota was not made available to you?
It was not available to anyone until almost 10 years after 9/11. So after the FBI and the federal agencies had already declared that they had uncovered all the information and that there was nothing else to be learned about 9/11.
Basically, you're asking for a Freedom of Information trial to get this information out there. How likely do you think that the appellate court is going to rule in your favor?
Well, our attorneys who've been involved in this now for almost years feel very positive about the results of today's hearing, and they think that that we will receive some relief, that is information that has been withheld will be made available, and that could happen in the next 3 or 4 months.
And why do you think it's so important to all Americans to know exactly what happened here in Sarasota?
Well, I think it's important because the consequences of us not knowing the truth have been very serious. For instance, we would have gone to war with Iraq had we known that it was actually Saudi Arabia which had provided assistance to the hijackers. But in the absence of that information, we were manipulated to the belief that it was Iraq that was our enemy, and therefore we went to war in what was probably the worst national security decision, at least since World War II.
How could this possibly complicate what is happening right now in the world? Because obviously the courts stand for itself, but we're living in a time now when Saudi Arabia has a new prince and there are great reforms that are taking place there. If this information is released, could that affect our new relationship with Saudi Arabia?
Yes, I believe that if the American people knew that Saudi Arabia, which purports to be our friend and ally, had in fact been the critical element in 9/11. 9/11 would not have occurred without the assistance of Saudi Arabia. There would be an entirely different attitude in the United States and elsewhere around the world towards Saudi Arabia, whether we should be facilitating the war that they're conducting in Yemen today, whether we should accept their statements that they are backing away from their extreme form of Islam, Wahhabism, and are becoming a more normalized nation.
And just quickly, how soon do you think that the appellate court will reach a decision?
There's no way to give a precise answer to that, but our attorneys felt that it might be within a range of 3 to 4 months.
Senator Graham, you're retired, but not really retired, and we can't tell you how much in Sarasota we appreciate what you're trying to do here. Senator Graham,